Veronica Conway and Zoe Williams in the house. This is the last call for the Wannapreneur to Entrepreneur Bootcamp. That train is kind of leaving the station. We've gotten that going this week. We had the seminar and it was fire, people, and we're not even getting started yet. We're really taking people who, most of the folks on the call are established business owners in the program are established business owners. And we're just going to help them up-level their business and up-level their profits and clear out all the limiting beliefs and obstacles that have been standing in their way and teach them how to sell. That's really what we're doing. So we thought we would have one more call this week to get any business questions answered, to see if people might be a fit for this program. It is going to be a game changer in your business. That's just what I know. And that's why we're here today. So I would like to, another gentleman on the call who joined, and I'd like to get your questions answered. Then a little bit about the selling process today, because it's kind of on my heart to teach. I think that one of the things that we miss in our business when we are thinking about starting a business is that we think about ourselves. We think about our stuff. We think about we think about all of the things that it took for us to acquire our skill and acquire our talent and acquire our gift, and we rarely think about how to sell it in the marketplace. And that's where people get stuck, is they get this fascination with their craft. And it's not that you shouldn't be fascinated with your craft, because that is the expression of your gift and your talent in the world. However, I have often seen businesses that are more powerful at selling and have a powerful business model trump and whoop the ass of, frankly, people that are more talented, just because they have marketing behind them, just because they know how to sell. So the thing that we have to realize is that it's not about our stuff. It's about our stuff plus our ability to put it into the marketplace and to enroll people into exchanging value for our stuff. That's the game. That's the model, right? And so many of us, I think, have a real aversion to selling, but nothing happens in entrepreneurship. Nothing happens in the business world unless something gets sold over and over and over again. So I want to talk a little bit about selling today, just lay on a few kind of principles that I think are the most important principles. Because that's how business happens, and if you're not focused on that and intent about that, then you're not really in business, you're just in an expensive hobby. Or if you're focused on it sporadically, in other words, if it's not operationalized in your day-to-day practices, in your day-to-day habits, then you may have ebbs and flows and ups and downs and peaks and valleys in your business, but you'll always be scrambling financially with this up and down flow. So we in the Wannapreneur to Entrepreneur Bootcamp, our goal is to eliminate that and to dial in predictable, sustainable, consistent income, and to prepare you to be able to print money at will. Because if you are in a business, or if you are thinking about a business and you can't print money at will, you need not be thinking about a business. Let me say that again. If you have a business or are thinking about going into a business and you don't have the strategies and the skills to sell and to print money at will, to make money at will, then you need not be in business.
Wow.
Because if you don't have that skill set, you're not in business. It's something else. It's an expensive hobby. I talked to somebody, actually there's somebody who joined the boot camp, and when we broke down the numbers in his business model, we realized that he was paying $18.75 an hour to be in the business, not getting paid from the business. He was paying $18.75 an hour to be in the business. I'm like, well, brother, you need to stop that. You need to stop that. You need to have your business paying you. You don't need to be paying your business. You need to have your business paying you, or it's not business. He's like, where do I sign up? Because your children can't afford for you to be a dabbler and a dilettante in this thing called business. Your children can't afford you to do that. They can't.
A dabbler and a dilettante.
Right, because you're either going to have to stay at a job and do the business on the side where they're not going to see you ever, or you're going to go into the business full-time and be broke. So either way, it robs you of the opportunity to be a presence in your children's lives. So unless you're going to make that firm commitment and really cross over and make a really deep, firm, committed decision, then if you're not going to really commit and decide to cross over, then don't do it, because it's expensive, and it's not for the faint of heart. So that being said, before I jump to questions, I'm on a roll, so I'm just gonna continue the roll. I want to talk to you just briefly today about three things, and that is, if all business is selling, and your job is to sell, then the thing that you have to overcome to sell is resistance. Your own resistance to selling. And I think as Black people, we have some of that typically. We have some real resistance to selling. Because I've talked to Black people the world, and oftentimes we don't want to sell. Because we think it's grimy and slimy and this and that. So we have to deal with our own inner conflicts, back of mind doubts and fears about what it means to ask people for money in exchange for our services, in exchange for our products. So we have to first overcome our own resistance. Then we have to overcome our prospects' resistance. In other words, every time you approach a prospect, and I don't care what the venue is. So a prospect can be, you can be in a phone conversation with a prospect, you can be online with a prospect, you can be speaking from a stage, you can be speaking in an ad, you can be speaking in all kinds of venues. And I consider online to both be venues, right, where you are presenting and making your offer. And depending on the venue that you select, being online or offline, each venue has its own environment, and that environment that you set up to attract and convert your prospect has to be conducive to converting that prospect in that environment. So if you're selling online, that's a different environment, and how you reach across the screen and grab your prospect by the throat and make them buy your stuff is different than it is on the phone. Is different than it is in a webinar. Is different than it is from the stage. I've sold over $1 million from the stage, like speaking at conferences. It's a different animal than getting on the phone. It's a different animal than getting online. And so you have to understand those different environments and how to reduce resistance in those environments. The third point of resistance that you have to overcome to sell is what I'm going to call post-transaction resistance. You know, it's kind of like the morning after. It's kind of like the morning after on a one-night stand. You know, but you really want to date the person. You really want to date them, or you think you want to marry them, right? But the day after, the after, people can have regrets. Depending on how the interaction was framed initially. Because all selling is like dating, by the way, brothers, sisters out there. It's like dating. And the problem is that we try to get married before we've actually had a proper date.
Right.
And then you get the after morning blues, post-transaction resistance. Okay? So if you're not designing your business model and your business funnel to actually compensate for that, to account, to address that, then you get and you get drama and you get mad people and you get all kinds of stuff. And so if you don't, so you've got to design that on the front end so that you're not blindsided on the back end. So that's resistance. And so that resistance is the primary thing that you have to overcome to sell, and selling is the primary thing that you have to do to win. I'll be happy to take questions now.
La 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 la.
Who has questions?
Trying to get over that first, I guess the picture you painted, like that, pretty sobering. Wow.
Okay. And what makes it sobering?
Well, it is kind of like dating, where you be with the customer and you start getting a little information, start finding out, what they need and how you can make things match together as a working relationship. And then when there's a transaction, it's fine. And then afterwards, how you handle it can either make or break it. It is very similar to dating. And when you have a bad situation, word gets around and it basically kills your business, socially or economically. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question is as you think about entering into business, see, again, we get very distracted with our stuff, with our gifts, with the skill, right, with our ourselves, really. Right? And frankly, and this is spiritual, it's the most egoic place to come from in a business. It's the most egoic place to come from in a business, my stuff. The most powerful place to come from in a business is how does my stuff serve the marketplace to transform my prospects and my clients, and how do I scale that, deliver it over and over and over again, add value to the marketplace, add value to my family. But usually we're so concerned about our stuff and what it means about the fact that we have, and listen, I get it, because I'm a recovering stuff. I used to focus on my stuff. Oh, my God, but do you guys know that I studied NLP and I know hypnosis and I know how to build businesses, and it took me so many years and it was just so hard. And do you know, like, how long it took me to figure out how to do this program? Like, me, right? And that's how we are, because it took us so long just to get to the point where we could actually think about being in business with our talent or our craft. It's like, do you know how long it took to get here at all? And so somehow that ends up entering our communication process because we'd rather, let me say it and still be loved. We'd rather be approved of and appreciated at the expense of making sales. Because if people can come into our business and appreciate and approve of us, that can actually be a substitute for the very risky thing of asking for money.
Yeah. That's big.
Kind of like
King Kong right there. That's King Kong.
It's riskier to ask for the money than it is to ask for appreciation.
Right.
And
I was gonna say, like, when you have a job, when you're trying to get a raise versus getting a pat on the head.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Williams. Way to go, Williams.
Right. Yeah. And we get addicted to that shit. I swear.
Yeah.
But it is the thing that stops us from selling, because you can't have both. Both can't occupy the same space.
So the question we had to solve for ourselves is, how do I prevent economical or entrepreneur dysfunction.
Yeah, and usually what you got to do is you got to go back to all of the things. I mean, and I know this sounds crazy, but it happened. It's just the truth. I mean, I've been at this for 15 years. You have to go back into. This is what we're going to be doing this week on the Wannapreneur to Entrepreneur Bootcamp. Actually, Paul is going to be the mother of all business breakthroughs, belief breakthroughs, because usually what happens is that, in other words, if our business is based on our ego, because what we're really there is to get validation and approval and to not get sales, it's usually because in our childhood somebody didn't give us validation and approval, and we are seeking to get that need met, and that need becomes more important in our psyche than getting business done.
Uh-oh.
And then we have to go back into, and so then we have to go back into the childhood moment, the gestalt, the root cause event, event that got the belief that told you, I'm not good enough, I need some love and approval, and we go out in the world and we leak that psychology all over our business, and we wonder why we're broke.
Wow.
So this Saturday, we're going to be dealing with that. We're going to actually take those most limiting beliefs and we're going to annihilate them forever so that you are no longer bleeding that all over your business. Because if you're bleeding those kinds of things all over your business, again, you may like don't enter the difficult, obstacle-ridden, treacherous waters of business unless your psychology is intact. Unless you're not leaking. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lynn, Veronica. I was just thinking when you said you're going to obliterate belief, or the negative beliefs. Are you going to bring our code word, a wizard, in to help during this process?
I got this.
Okay. Okay.
I got this.
It's gonna be great. I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish.
No, I do. I do bring in wizards, people that can bring reality into my programs occasionally, just for some fun and hijinks, and to get some real transformation happening. But yeah, no, I got the business handle for the Saturday. So
that's gonna be excellent.
So that's
what time,
y'all. It's so if you want to join the boot camp, you can go to WTEbootcamp.com, W2Ebootcamp.com, and you can register there at the bottom. The boot camp is going to take place for the next 7 sessions, next 7 Saturdays, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock Eastern. We're going to be addressing limiting beliefs and the things that stop you from actually selling. We're going to be addressing all of the things that you've been putting up with in your environment that aren't conducive to having a business, whether it's people, whether it's systems or lack of, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's tidiness or cleanliness or good business banking hygiene or whatever the stuff is that you've been procrastinating around that's really going to help you line this up. We're going to deal with that in a half a day of blitzing. We're going to teach you how to sell, because selling is the key to business. And then we're going to reprogram all of the doubts and fears that you have about selling. We're going to clear your own inner resistance to selling, then give you a proven script so that you can have a conversation with somebody and 45 minutes later have $5,000, depending on your business model.
I'm sold.
See, most people are also not charging are not charging enough in their business. They're dealing with these really low price points, really low margins, really low, right? And if you build a business as like you're competing on price, you'll stay broke. If you build a business that's competing on transformation, you'll get rich.
You got on my you got on my case about that last time I talked to Ms. Conway. I had to sit there and think about that. So, okay, if I'm going to underbid myself, then my clientele is going to basically have enough confidence in what I'm doing. So I get that.
Right. That's right. You got to be like congruently like, you know what? I got this. I'm going to change your life with whatever I got. And you have to be so certain. Your certainty in any negotiation, the person with the most certainty wins.
Yes, you have to have Godzilla type balls to do this. I get it.
You have to know the truth of the value of your value in the marketplace.
Yeah.
You have to know the truth. And then you got to put it to the test in the marketplace.
Definitely. I was gonna say that's kind of like I recently read. I ride the bus here in Houston, and I ran into somebody. They work at a store that sells T-shirts for like $80. But on a particular T-shirt that they were selling for that price, it said these, and then it had a picture of hose, like the tool, ain't loyal, for $80. And then I thought about Ramble Mart immediately. Like, he's selling shirts for $80, and y'all got this on the same price point.
Right.
Marketing is everything. It's not about talent, unfortunately, in this crazy world. It's about your ability to hit. It's about your ability to market and sell.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad, but here's about that, and that's why we're doing the Entrepeneur Bootcamp. Because I think that people that actually have a gift and a talent should be equipped with the skills to whoop the ass of people that ain't about shit.
That's why I'm here. Got tired of
Veronica. Veronica's not playing today. I don't know what y'all thought was supposed to go down, but she ain't playing today.
Well, no, I wanted to say is I'm glad this is a necessity because I went to places like Score. I was in Houston, last year. So yeah, I know places like that, and they were telling me like basic stuff, and it wasn't nowhere near as informative as this conversation in the past few. And I've been there for 6 months, and I didn't really see or hear about it.
Right. Listen. You listen. It's just like there's a guy. Oh, it's so funny. You can wander in the desert for so long. There's a guy that is Tony Robbins' second in command is a friend of mine. I'm in a mastermind with him, Joe Williams, and he's been on stage with Tony for 25 years. I know both of the guys that have been on stage with Tony for 25 years. Joseph McClendon, who's the brother, and Joe Williams, who's a white dude, and they're both my friends, and yada yada. But so they teach speaking, right? Because obviously, if you've been around that dude for a long time, then you know a thing or two about stage stuff. I mean, and the story that they tell, about Tony, and because I've been to a lot of Tony Robbins events, like the thing that they spend the most money on with Tony Robbins, the biggest expense that they spend money on at a Tony Robbins event is air conditioning, because Tony Robbins gets so hot. He gets so hot. He overheats so much because he's on stage for so long without a break that they bring in massive, huge boxes of air conditioners that blow behind him to keep him cooled off. And everybody else in the audience is freezing, but it's really to keep him cool. Like, who knew that, right? Anyway, that's a funny little aside. But the dude that teaches people speaking with Tony Robbins, you pay $7,000 to go to his boot camp, but you learn how to speak. You learn how to speak. You learn how to sell. You learn how to present. You learn how to do the real thing. So I had a friend who was like, should I go to Toastmasters or should I go to this dude, Joe Williams? And I said, it depends. It depends on how long you want to spend wandering in the desert of being an unprofitable, unseen, unrecognized speaker. If you're cool with that, go to Toastmasters. And there's no judgment in that. It's just that everything is a series of choices. And usually the people that have the real information, that have the real get down, have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in understanding that get down. And the people that think that they can get some stuff for free, off, get the fate that brings with it. Mm-hmm. Because the truth is that the real information costs money. The real information costs money. And the stuff that's mediocre in the marketplace, where you just kind of wander and wander and wander without any real progress, without any real acceleration, that stuff is always free or low cost. So there's always a choice. There's always a choice.
Wow.
And what happens is that because there are so many people making offers in the marketplace, people can go a little bit mean because they've run around trying to grab all the little free stuff, little free events, little free teleseminars, little free stuff, and because that stuff is designed to pitch you and to sell to you. I've heard it. People have run around. I can hear it when people do it. They run around and they've picked up so many little ideas, but they never, so many little appetizers, so many little snacks that they've never gotten to the meat because they've never invested in a way that they could get to the meat, and they sound crazy. They sound like they have the fragmented brain of somebody that has tried to pick up little fragments of different models. But you can't do a bunch of different models. If you try to piece together and cobble together a bunch of different business models, you get an ugly one-eyed baby.
Yeah.
You get an ugly one-eyed baby. If you've taken a head and you try to arm, you try to attach a toe. That's not how it works. Give birth to the baby.
Yeah.
Do it right. Get a model that makes some sense, and then go sell some shit.
How about it?
That's it.
I love this shit. I was just gonna say.
Any other questions about your business? Who's got questions about their business and selling? Because this conversation is about selling. Because if your conversation and your business ain't about selling, then it's not a business. Yes. Why, y'all? Let's go. You got me for another 10 minutes. Let's go.
What would you say the best way to sell T-shirts would be then?
Well, the people that are making money at selling T-shirts right now are Facebook masters. Yeah. The people that are making money is that there's ways. So have you heard of Teespring? Have you heard of running a Teespring campaign?
I've not heard.
Teespring is where you
Teespring as in a magic spring?
Yes. TEE spring, like the seasons.com.
Okay.
So Teespring on Teespring.com, and whoever has that background noise, if you could just mute yourself real quick. Because if you can hear it. All right. Teespring is a place where you can crowdsource T-shirts. In other words, you can get an image, you can go on, they have T-shirts, and you can set a parameter that if people buy 20 of T-shirts, that then go to a print run, right? And so there's a price that you pay. So you don't have to ever go into the business of producing T-shirts. You can just add the logo online to the T-shirt, and then you can what's called crowdsource the T-shirt. I'm going to mute. No, I think that might be you, though, so I'm going to mute you real quick. There, that was you. So, though, if you want to, I'll unmute. He's cleaning his flooded place. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So you can crowdsource on Teespring.com, and you don't have to come out of pocket for any expenses. But here's the thing: you have to be a Facebook marketing master. There is a way to market on Facebook and to do ad spends and to understand Facebook marketing that allows you to sell T-shirts in volume. There are people making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month online just selling crowdsourced T-shirts. But you have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing. Because it's a science. Nobody that's doing this and making money at it is guessing. Nobody's guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense? Have you heard of crowdsourcing for T-shirt production?
Well, I heard of crowdsourcing, and I didn't know that there's. I figured there was something along those lines for T-shirts, but I just do it.
Right. Like I have a little $2,000 program that's an online program that I haven't even cracked open that I got to give my kids because I want them to learn how to do it because I'm like, if you can figure out how to make $2,000 a day selling T-shirts, then that'll be like your barbershop skill. And no matter what happens in your life, if you can get online and have a barbershop skill that makes a couple of grand every few days, then, you're cool.
Exactly.
So there's a science to that, but one has to learn the science. And I would say don't enter the game until you do.
Okay, how does one go about learning that then? Like just researching different people that have done it, or?
It depends. So there's multiple programs in the marketplace. They tend to run about $2,000. These programs. And I don't know who's the latest in the game. The program that I have is about 6 months old. The thing to be looking out for, so Google Teespring training, and see who the most potent in the marketplace is. The thing about Facebook is that if you're going to be marketing online, so if you're doing Google AdWords, or you're trying to game Google algorithms, or you're using Facebook, you're using YouTube, you're using any of these online platforms, the thing that people have to understand that they don't understand is that everything changes in terms of Facebook's terms of service.
Right.
So when you're talking about online marketing, you have to kind of hang with the people that really are on the cutting edge of the technology, because you got to keep up with what's changing. In other words, like just, a few months ago, people were using this thing where you could scrape user IDs out of Facebook and basically go steal other people's customers. People were using this thing, these thing called scrapers, and they were getting paid, they were getting over, and they were marketing that way. And then Facebook changed their terms of service overnight, and overnight people's businesses were gone. And there's about to be another rumble in the marketplace around Facebook terms of service. I'm in the mastermind with some real heavy hitters. I'm in a $50,000 a year mastermind. Some of the masters of the universe in this space, and they're like, it's on the horizon. If your primary business is on Facebook, take it off.
Yeah.
So I like to say that you have to get next to the people that are actually on the edge of the knowledge base around it, because if you build a business on antiquated knowledge, you'll be out of business before you're in business. Now, that's a roundabout way to answer your question, because I don't know who's on the cutting edge of Teespring.
No, I definitely understand. I understand. Like I said, I'm just gonna have to do my research, do my homework before I can just, do that sort of a thing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
okay.
you gotta know. Knowledge is power in this game.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Let's see
So I'm unmuting you again. Are you there?
Hey, if you're ready to deal with the noise over here, let's go.
Okay. All right. We're going to bring this to a close, this call, unless there's any other questions. Okay. So, this is my last call to y'all about the boot camp. And this boot camp is for people who are not trying to spend a bunch of time guessing and figuring a bunch of stuff out. You can do that, and it's draining. You get burnt out and exhausted, and worse, you get the identity of a person that's an incompetent business owner. Because if you wander in the desert long enough, in the land of profitability long enough, land of no profitability long enough, if you don't know how to make money at will, and you're stuck with that, and you just kind of, because I don't think business building has to be incremental. I think real business building has momentum. It's not incremental. We've been taught that it's this incremental thing. No, you can fire it up and get it going, but you have to have right knowledge, and you have to have the right path laid out for you. So it's not incremental. It doesn't have to be incremental, but you have to have the right knowledge, bigger, to take the leap, to cross over. So we've designed this so that things in place in a very accelerated way, so that you're both looking at the infrastructure of your mind, of your environment, of your business, of your sales process, of your model, so that you can get that dialed in and have that infrastructure dialed in a very short time frame. We're only going to roll 8 weeks, and so that in 8 weeks from now you can have it handled. You can be making money. that's how the program is designed. Yeah, go ahead.
Isn't that the key? Like making money? Making money is like making love, but only it lasts longer. Let's make money.
Yeah, make money so then you can go make more love. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it.
So yeah, it's about getting profitable, and it's about getting the models and the metrics and all of that, and then dialing into your calendar. Because one of the things that I also find is that people don't, the way they take sporadic, up and down action around selling, whereas really selling has to be built into your model. You should be doing it all the time. Right? You should have a process and a model built in that makes selling and revenue sustainable. But we don't often schedule our calendars that way. We often, I have somebody that was in my last boot camp that I'm just setting up a 90-day boot camp that people are going to be renewing and doing another 90 days with me. You know, it was amazing. You know, and people think that they have this style, even if they've kind of hung with me sometimes for a minute, but one of the things that I teach in my boot camps is what are green activities? What are revenue generating activities? Because very often we're not focused on the revenue generating activities. And if you calendar all of your revenue generating activities in green ink and everything else on your calendar in red ink, then you can take a look at a glance at your calendar and see how much money you're bleeding. So I have clients that are like, I taught them how, it's like, they're like, we want to make $30,000 a month. I'm like, great, let's map your calendar, because you can look at the last 30 days and you can look at your time on your calendar and see what your money is, right? Your calendar is all your books, your receipts, your income, your receivables, your revenues. All it's going to be a reflection of how you spend your time and how you spend your calendar. So one of the things that these folks realized, this couple that I'm working with, they realized that they went and spent a week doing some really low price point MLM marketing crap that wasn't going to make them any money. And they sacrificed when they realized what they could have done. They could have made $15,000 in that same week, cash, easy. They had a way to sell. They just chose to calendar their time in a way that wasn't interest, and didn't have money as a priority. And so we do that, right? We do that. We sacrifice all kinds of things from a time perspective, and we give up money because we're doing a bunch of shit that doesn't matter, right? We don't deal with the critical few. We deal with the many, like, oh, this distraction over here and this bright, shiny object over here, and I get to have a pat on the head over here, and I get to have a soothing behavior over here, and I get to go watch TV over here, and I get to anesthetize myself over here. Let me go do all these other things that are not sales.
Veronica.
Yeah.
Can I add something to what you're saying, which is you're saying is quite profound. Because the term used was calendar your time, right?
Right.
I want everybody to think about this. When your time is not calendared, right? She mentions another term that you should write down, and that is you're bleeding money. When your time is not calendared, you're bleeding money. Now, what bleeding money translates to in just everyday time or everyday lingo is, I don't have enough time. Right? That's how it translates. I don't have enough time. That's because your calendar and the time in it isn't organized. You have 168 hours in every week, right? If you down all the time in that 168, right, and you broke it down, the time you sleep, the time you eat, the time you work, the time, your leisure time, the time you spend watching television. Do you know the average person 58 to 60 hours left So there's no excuse to say I don't have the time. It's
Correct.
You haven't calendared the time, which leads you to bleeding money. That's interesting. I just wanted to add on to that. Thank you for letting me have that moment.
Yeah, no. And here's the deeper piece, and then we're gonna close. See, when people understand the value of their time and they understand of their offer and the value of the transformation that they're offering in the marketplace, then you can really get down. Like, let me give you an example. So I have clients that I'm teaching, they're going to be offering their own boot camp, right, to their own prospects, and like an online boot camp. And they're going to offer their boot camp for $3,000. And so I'm teaching them how to have a conversation where they can have a 45-minute conversation and take someone from cold to sold, right, cold to sold, for $3,000 in a 45-minute conversation. Okay, so that means technically that so now you're talking about 45 minutes for $3,000. 45-minute conversation, $3,000, put them in a group program, right? So now you're talking about, let's say $3,000 an hour. So how many hours of that do you have how many of those hours do you have to be successful at in any given week to have some real money? Only a couple. Right? If they sell 10 of those a month, if they do 10 of those a month, if I teach them how to sell really powerfully, and they conduct, let's say, 30 of these conversations a month, and they sell 10 out of 30, that's $30,000 a month in revenue.
Yeah.
Right? So it's what Zoe said about how you manage your time and how you block your time, but it's also about what are you equipped to sell, and at what price point, and what value are you prepared to deliver in that time. Because you can make a $30,000 decision. You can make a $3,000 a month. You can have a $30,000 a month business model. You can have a $3,000 a month business model. I know people that have a $300,000 a month business model. I know people personally that have $1 million a month business models. Right? And neither of the models require more time than the other. It's the model. It's not that the $1 million a month business model actually takes more time than the $3,000 a month business model. It doesn't. The key is in the model. So we often think that to be very successful in business, we're going to have to work really, 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 really hard, and nothing could be further from the truth. But you have to work with right knowledge. And you have to change your mind about what you think is possible, and you have to change your mind about what selling is and isn't, and you have to change your calendar about when you're going to sell and at what price point if you really want to have a business. So I'm heading out. I've got my next boot camp that I'm delivering at 4 o'clock, and if this resonates with you and you know that you are tired of whatever that wandering, unprofitable behavior is, that wandering in the desert crap, and you want to come and hang with us this Saturday, then you're going to want us today. We have people are hitting the ground running. Our first call, we've had a pre-call. There's homework that you're already behind on. But I promise you, just the first set of homework, people were blown away. Like it's like, oh my God, it got so easy. Like I know how I can. This seems totally doable. I know what I have to do now. Great, and we're not even getting started. This Saturday, we're gonna blast through and annihilate all your limiting beliefs, and then we're gonna teach you how to sell. So if you know in your soul, if you're listening to this call or you're listening to the recording of this call, that there's 80-something days left in this year. This program is designed to have you complete the year powerfully and kick off the next year with money. If you know in your soul this is something that's for you, don't let money be an obstacle. Money be the conversation. Don't let, because everything that you invest in should have a return on investment associated with it. And, my program's return on investment because people make money in them. That's just what they do. So if you're ready for that, ready to come play ball, then go to W2EBootcamp.com. That's W, letter 2, number 2, letter E, bootcamp.com. There is a application and we can have a brief conversation. If you have any questions about the program, there is a payment button at the very, very bottom of that page. You can sign up. This is the last time that any of my boot camps will ever be in the $2,000 price range. Again, all my boot camps going forward will be $5,000 and up. Because the value, I'm not confused about my value and the value that I deliver. And if you want to not be confused about your value and the value that you deliver in the marketplace, then you should come and hang with me and Zoe and all the other entrepreneurs. That's what you should do. Zoe, anything that you want to say in completion?
Now or never.
now
or never. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
It's just true. Now or never. And it doesn't. There's not a lot I can say other than what I've said before. The purpose of my show and the purpose of the platform is to provide resources and not just entertainment. So when I met Veronica and I recognized that she had a bag full of goodies that the hood don't know nothing about, I said, okay, I'm gonna have to connect this bag full of goodies to the hood. Now, now, whether the hood responds to it, the hood can't make no excuse and say, I didn't bring the goodies to the hood. Y'all just ignored it. So, I mean, it's really that simple. It's not a lot of time to waste. And whose time are you wasting anyway? Definitely not mine. Yeah. So, it's just we gotta get it done some kind of way. And I think Veronica is an intelligent and inspirational person that can, get a lot of people in living this hobby, living this dream of having a business. She can get those people into the reality of really mastering their lives through their business.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're serious about it, you get on, and if this is some other part of your dream, I'm gonna go ahead and let you finish sleeping.
Wow.
Well, that says it all. That says it all. Thank you, Zoe. You're my brother from another mother. Thank you.
Sister girl.
Thank you for always having my back in the space. And brothers and sisters, I hope you'll join us. Really, a little bit of recording. Those are here. W2ebootcamp.com. Thank you for joining us today. Thanks for taking time out of your busy lives and busy businesses and busy careers. And we hope to see you at the boot camp. This is Veronica Conway for the W2E Bootcamp and Black Mastery Reloaded, signing off, and good night.